Welcome to the Better Homes and Gardens presentation of Merchandising Your Home, a step-by-step, room-by-room guide for preparing your home to sell. Your guides for the video are David Richards and Liz Turner.
Hello, I'm David Richards. I'm up north in a two-story home with a basement. It's the middle of winter.
And I'm Liz Turner, where it's a lot warmer. I'm in a one-story home with a deck and attached garage.
This tape combines Better Homes and Gardens editor's knowledge of the home with Better Homes and Gardens real estate agent's knowledge of marketing homes. We're happy to provide it to you as part of our home merchandising system. You're probably watching this tape because you not only take great pride in your home, but also because you're interested in knowing the steps you can personally take to get your home ready to appeal to the most buyers. In developing this tape, we asked Better Homes and Gardens agents from around the country which areas of the home they recommended their sellers give the most attention. Based on this information, you'll play a very important role in the upcoming sale of your home because you have the opportunity to have a big influence on the way it's presented to buyers. This step of merchandising your home, together with an effective job of marketing through our home marketing system, is how your agent can help you get the best price in the shortest possible time. Our goal is to show you how to merchandise your home and to make you aware of potential obstacles, big and small, that a buyer will notice and may use to justify offering a lower price. As you view this tape, keep in mind that when we talk about merchandising, it's not what we as homeowners might like, it's not what Better Homes and Gardens might like, but what agents tell us buyers are looking for. We know houses come in all sizes and styles, but then our point is not to talk about any one kind of home. Instead, the homes we'll show you, along with the entire BH&G photo library, will give you a broad choice of examples that demonstrate dozens of ideas to help you enhance the perceived value of your home in the minds of potential buyers, regardless of where you live. Selling and buying a home is the biggest financial transaction in most of our lives. Frankly, it's worth some special effort before your home goes on the market. Special effort, not necessarily big dollar signs. So, we fill this video with ideas. Many of them are very simple. Some involve more effort. It's up to you and your agent to decide which ones can pay off most for you. We'll focus on the physical condition and appearance of your home, the merchandising of your home, the things you as a seller may overlook because you've become used to seeing them, but that buyers will look for. The marketing issues such as pricing, advertising, and legal requirements will be left for you and your agent to discuss. The video is divided into separate action-filled chapters. They're well titled, so it's easy to use scan on your VCR to pinpoint what you're looking for. Our main chapters are the overview, general merchandising tips that are applicable to every room and location in the home, and curb appeal, the all-important first impression a buyer gets when he or she drives up to your home. Then we'll cover the key rooms from a merchandising standpoint, the entryway, living room, and halls, the kitchen and dining room, the bathroom, bedrooms and closets, basements and attics for those of you who have them, and the garage. Throughout the video, we'll talk about the need to fix and repair. So we've included a special chapter on how to fix those little things that buyers notice. Before we start, remember one thing. You're experienced at this business of home buying. After all, you bought the home you're selling. When you look at your home, put yourself in the buyer's place. Try to visualize your home not as you see it, but from the critical vantage point of a cautious buyer. And with that, let's get started merchandising your home.
How much you will get for your home and how quickly it will sell is determined well before this sign ever goes up in the front yard. The basic concept of this video is really merchandising, how to merchandise your home to everyone. And that includes other real estate agents who may be bringing prospective buyers to your home. That first impression on the other agents is as important as the first impression on the buyer. Remember, your home is in competition with every other home for the buyer's attention, and that's why it's important to merchandise. Let's start with the number one rule. Create space, unclutter. You want to make your home inside and out appear as spacious and uncluttered as possible. Now, you may have to ask a friend to help you on this, but sometimes you get so used to seeing that neat stack of magazines on the table that you don't realize that it looks like clutter to someone else. So have a friend give you an outsider's viewpoint and try not to be too sensitive about the advice that you get. Rule number 2, everything must be clean. Now, it doesn't matter that the prospective buyer's home may not be clean. A home on the market must be spotless. Since you're going to be moving anyway, everything you can throw out, sell, or store will make moving easier and cheaper and make your home look better. So don't wait. Now's the time for a garage sale, not a week before you move. If there is still some overflow, you may want to consider renting a mini storage space for a few weeks as a last resort. We'll cover cleaning tips as we go through individual rooms. Cleaning up yourself is obviously less expensive than hiring a professional to do it. But if really deep cleaning is needed, bringing in a professional service is well worth the cost compared to the total investment in your home. Okay, general rule number 3, neutralize your home. This applies to colors, wallpaper, furniture, and fixtures inside and out. You want to help potential buyers visualize what their furniture and taste will look like in your home. Colors are particularly critical. The farther you get from neutral, the harder it is for the average buyer to identify with them. Of course, money is an important factor here. You don't have to spend a lot. Use your own good judgment when it comes to deciding how much changing is in order. This room may be perfect for just the right person, but a little paint and some judicious arranging helps showcase this room so it can accommodate virtually anyone's taste preferences. Sometimes you have to take a good look at your traffic flow. Before this room was rearranged, most of the furniture was crowded into this one area, because the natural tendency is to use the fireplace as a focal point. And the problem in this case was that this over-concentration of furniture created a real roadblock, making it awkward to go from one doorway to the other. But a little shuffling solved these problems. Now you have a straight shot between doorways, yet this grouping here still enables you to enjoy the warm and cozy ambience of the fireplace. General rule number 4, give yourself a timetable to get things done. Depending on your goals, determine how much time you have to spend merchandising your home, then work on the priority items first. Before we go on, let's emphasize one more time this proven fact of life. Potential buyers are simply not able to see past clutter, dirt, and strongly personalized decorating. Okay, let's start with the first impression your home gives, from the curb.
The very first impression your home makes is the most important it will ever make when it comes to selling your home. But you only get one chance as the prospective buyers drive up the street looking for what they hope will be their dream house. That impression is lasting and can say, the owners didn't take care of their house and don't care. Or it can say, this is our home. We care about it and cared for it. The best way to illustrate this point is to show you a few before and after examples using this house as the subject. Let's start by just looking at the front yard and approach to the house. While the house may look lived in, it doesn't look inviting. So let's go over the yard one item at a time. Start with the overall look. The grass needs to be cut every week when showing the house. A little fertilizer 30 days ago would have made a big difference. Simple and easy things like edging the sidewalks adds crispness to the lines. If needed, make sure you trim the shrubs and try putting edging around flower beds. If you have a plain yard, just a few well-placed shrubs or potted plants can make a big difference, as in this home. Stick with Rule 1, unclutter. Remove things like the patio furniture from the front yard. Garden hoses, tools, and lawnmowers are not only unsightly, but can be dangerous too. Over the years, dirt gradually builds up on any home's exterior. The eaves get covered with cobwebs and nests. Give the outside a good hosing. It can do wonders. And while you're at it, wash down the sidewalk. Also, your dog may be the friendliest in the city, maybe too friendly. But people who are intimidated by dogs are going to be intimidated by yours. So why not avoid this possible obstacle by finding an alternate location for Fido on the days your home is going to be shown? By doing a few simple things, the overall first impression of your home can go from looking like this to this. The same principles apply in every season, especially in the winter.
You can say that again. Up north in the winter, your buyers can't tell much about the yard. All they can do is judge based on what they see. A well-shoveled walk and driveway says you take care of your property. And by the way, if you're not living in your home while it is being sold, be sure to arrange for snow shoveling in your absence.
And that also applies to cutting grass if you're going to be out of town. Before we leave the yard, we should take the time to go over the entire exterior. Check the condition of your siding, replace bad boards if any, repair the mortar if necessary, and yes, definitely paint the exterior if it needs it. Replacing that old peeling paint job with a new one can make a major difference in the desirability of your home. Make sure gutters and downspouts are tight, railings are secure, repair broken screens, tighten shutters, replace missing shingles on the roof, and check flashings around chimneys. It's also a great idea to find some pictures of your home in other seasons and keep them readily available when your home is shown. This really helps the buyer. Now let's take a closer look at the front entryway from the outside. The first thing is, make sure your home has an easy-to-read street address. Sometimes the numbers get painted over or one gets lost or loose. Clean and repair them. It may even be worth buying some new ones. Make sure the mailbox works, and if it's old and rusty, replace it. Clean out all the bugs in the light fixtures, or replace them if they've seen better days. If you are going to repaint anything on the outside, the front door is the place to start. It often gets the most wear. Simple things like a new doormat or potted plants add a nice touch. In fact, flowers can be one of the easiest and least expensive ways to make your home more attractive. Installing a deadbolt lock not only adds obvious security, but has strong buyer appeal at low cost. We're going to talk more about this inside the house, but it applies here too. Replace light bulbs with brighter ones. Things just look better, especially outside at night and dusk. Now the curb view says this house is really well kept. One last thing before we go inside. If you have a deck, remember that many families, maybe you too, consider it a special gathering place, a kind of outdoor room for fun and relaxation. Prop it with a couple of table settings to give it a homey, inviting look. We'll come back to the outside later when we talk about garages, but right now, let's go inside with David.
Your home has made a good impression from the outside. It's time to solidify those positive feelings with a strong first impression of the inside. Now, in this section, we'll also cover general ideas most key to potential buyers. But let's start right here. Have you ever stepped inside the front door of a house and immediately noticed an odor? Maybe from pets or mildew or something else? And that's probably the #1 turnoff to a prospective buyer. Yet the human nose adapts so well that many homeowners are so used to housetosis, they don't realize how offensive it is to others. Now that's why it's a good idea to ask someone else to evaluate your home's aromas. The first thing to do is to clean the house really well. Try using a lemon-scented cleaner. Lemon is about as fresh a smell as there is. You might try this to neutralize unpleasant cooking odors. Put a little vanilla on cold bulbs. It adds a very nice aroma when the lights are turned on. You can even leave cinnamon sticks simmering on the stove. But if the odors are permanent and offensive, don't try to mask them. Deal with them instead. If you have a basement with a concrete floor and it seems to be the origin of pet odors accumulated through the years, seal the concrete with one of the many sealing products on the market. And wash down your walls, if possible with a chlorine and water mixture to attack the odors directly. After it dries completely, paint the walls. That is, of course, if they're the paintable type. Elsewhere in the home, try cleaning the bad spots with one of the strong disinfecting deodorants on the market. Carpeting that's saturated with pet odors will probably have to be replaced. If pet odors still remain after you've given your home a thorough cleaning, call in a professional cleaning service because they use a commercial-grade product you may not be able to get on the market. For mildew, test a small area with a solution of half water, half chlorine bleach. If no ill effects seem apparent, go ahead and attack the mildew with a vengeance. Let's talk a little bit more about the pets themselves. Now, they're great for any family, but when your home is going to be shown, leave them with friends. Even small pets make some people nervous, and still others are allergic to them. And the animals serve as a reminder of odor and wear. So find them and their accoutrements a temporary but loving home. Okay, now the house smells fresh and inviting. Let's look at the entry again, the first visual impression inside the home. The same principles of creating a clean, uncluttered, spacious feeling apply, and your goal is to make your entry just as inviting as possible. Now, if you don't actually have a distinct entry space, there are some imaginative ways you can create one. In a situation like this, where you walk directly into the living room, It's easy to develop a small entry by adding an area rug directly in front of the door and then bordering it on one side with a folding screen and on the other with a plant table. Green plants are always there to say welcome and are virtually no upkeep. In fact, green plants can do wonders for almost any space. Throughout the house, replace light bulbs with brighter ones and open all of your draperies and shades. It's important to make your home as light and cheery as possible, especially if it's an older one competing against newer and usually brighter models. Finally, check the closet. Now, most of us have things we don't need in there. Take enough out so that there's visible space left over. Now, this allows the buyer to see the full size of this or any closet and makes the closet look larger. If it's time to repaint a room, use neutral colors like beige and off-white and keep the ceilings white. They brighten the room. While painting may seem like a really big job, it's not as overwhelming as it sounds. Latex paint is easy to apply and clean up. Remember, you can do one room per weekend if you wish. Painting is really not very expensive either, and nothing makes a house look newer faster. It's also an instant cure for outdated wallpaper and colors. Just remember to keep the colors neutral. Clean everything, windowsills and sashes, and the windows themselves. Make them sparkle inside and out. If you have a view, show it off. Remove objects from sills and in front of windows. It looks cluttered. If you have an especially nice feature or area, show that off. Add a little showbiz with a spotlight. It can be on artwork or even on green plants. Speaking of lights, adding dimmers can create drama in any home. They're very useful in dining rooms. Take a good look at your walls. Repair the cracks and nail holes. Check everything to make sure it works. Hinges, tight and quiet. Doorknobs, light fixtures, hanging shelves. Make sure doors don't stick and stop floors and stairs from squeaking. The carpeting and drapes should be cleaned, either professionally or by running a steam cleaner. Carpeting has a major impact on the look of your house. If yours is badly worn, obviously outdated, or noticeably stained, you may need to replace it. We know new carpeting is relatively expensive, but real estate agents tell us from experience that it can be a good investment because of the feeling of newness it creates. Concentrate on high visibility areas first, such as the living room and family room as needed. And check the flooring underneath. If you live in an older home, it may have beautiful wood floors, which can be a big asset. If you have wood or vinyl flooring, it should shine. Finally, with the cardinal rule in mind, unclutter and create space. Look at each room of your house. Are there things that can simply be removed to create a more open feeling? Here are some examples. Several pairs of rooms from the Better Homes and Gardens photo library. Notice how the first room is crowded, small looking. See how the second room in each pair is spacious, yet each room is the same size. Now, let's take a look at the most important individual rooms when it comes to merchandising your home.
We know you're not going to let your home be shown like this. But apart from the kitchen, this is the most important room to have that new, clean, fresh look. The first thing to do is fix or replace anything that needs it. Check for broken tiles around the tub. Make sure there isn't any mold or mildew in the grout or caulk. Does it need to be regrouted or recaulked? Check the faucets for leaks and remove any lime deposits or rust stains. And watch for buildup on the shower walls, a major drawback according to agents across the country. Crawl in there with a small brush and strong cleaner and have at it. Check the drains. Do they need to be cleaned out? You can often do this job yourself. Don't forget to look up. Make sure the fan works and the vents are clean. And if you don't have adequate ventilation, you're probably going to need to repaint the ceiling. And of course, it's very important that the rooms smell fresh and clean, rather than like mildew and dirty gym socks. Use generous amounts of disinfectants and deodorizers. Once you've gone through and followed those 3 basic rules, clean, unclutter, and neutralize, which, by the way, in the bathroom includes hiding personal things, you can prop the room. This is the fun part of merchandising. Buy an inexpensive bath set. How about a new shower curtain? Put out fresh soap. Or pull out the pretty ones you got as a gift and never wanted to use. Buy a matching wastebasket. If the old one is broken or stained, buy a new toilet seat. Put an automatic bowl cleaner in the toilet. It says clean. The key is to have the room coordinated so that it looks like a model home. That should be a rule throughout the house. The kitchen is one of the most important selling rooms in your home. It can make or break the sale. There are some specific things that virtually everyone wants in a kitchen, and everyone complains that theirs doesn't have. Enough cupboards and counter space. We know this is a familiar theme, but get rid of the clutter. Now is the time to sort through your drawers and cabinets. Anything you don't use regularly, at least once a week, put in a box and store in the mini storage we talked about before, or in the basement or garage. This is a perfect time to thoroughly clean all your cupboards and put in new shelf paper. It gives your kitchen that little extra feeling of being fresh and clean. You'll also want to be sure and fix those little things like missing drawer pulls and that cabinet door that sticks. If your cabinets are older and out of style, you may want to update them by adding new pulls or replacing the cupboard doors with a new, more modern look. An easy and expensive way to make wood cabinets look new is by washing them with a good, tough, all-purpose cleaner. This will get rid of any dirt buildup or any grease residue. Then coat them with a good wood polish. This is a good rule for all of the wood in your home. If your countertop is worn or out of date, you may need to replace it, or at the very least, be sure to repair any damage. Check the faucet. Does it leak around the edge or after it's shut off? A buyer will look for water stains because that's a sure sign of a problem. So once you fix the problem, make sure there aren't any reminders. Don't forget the area around the sink. Make sure it's clean. We realize that if you're living in your home while it's on the market, this can be a tough spot, but be sure to clean around the edge and remove any stains. If you have a badly worn porcelain sink, it may be possible to paint it, or you may want to replace it with a newer one. Add a few accessories here and there. They don't cost much and give your kitchen that finished look. Put a flower or two in the window. If your kitchen doesn't get a lot of sun, it'll add a little color and brighten things up. Now, if your appliances stay with the house, make sure they're clean, inside and out. Be sure to degrease the stove and vent hood. If necessary, replace the filter to get rid of any lingering odors. Remember, you want to be careful about cooking fish or other foods that have a strong odor while your home is on the market. Make sure the outside of the refrigerator is clean and clear. Sorry, but those prize drawings have to be put away. Remember, you have to think like buyers, and they're looking for a home they can move into and make theirs. Whether you have an eat-in kitchen or a separate dining room, the same rules apply as for the rest of the house. Make sure it's clean and clutter-free. But a nice touch is to have a table set. Here's where you can borrow one of the tricks our magazine editors use to showcase eating areas they photograph. If you have a breakfast nook, pick up some placemats and 2 inexpensive bright place settings. If you have a formal dining room and it's designed for entertaining, show it off. Have it set for 4 or 6, as if company were coming.
Kids' bedrooms can be really tough. Once you've gone through your checklist of what needs to be done in every room, repairing cracks, repainting if necessary, cleaning curtains or replacing them with blinds, and making sure the carpets are clean, there isn't much left except the clutter. The solution is to put everything away, and that usually means the closet. But you want the closet to give the impression that there is room to add more things. So again, it may mean moving some things to storage. But you'd be amazed how much more room your closets appear to have when they're well organized. Paint the inside of the closet white. It makes it look larger and brighter. Also, be sure to put in as high a wattage bulb as your fixture can safely handle so you can really see what's inside. These closet organizers can provide an easily accessible space for almost all of your kids' belongings. If you have young children, you may feel as if you've organized the closet every time the house is shown, but it does pay off. One merchandising idea here is to buy a bunch of plastic hangers, all the same color. They not only decorate, but they also make the space look more organized, again, creating an impression of spaciousness. In your linen closet, everything should be neatly folded and stacked in small piles. And if possible, have all your matching linen together toward the front and hide the mismatched pieces under and behind your most attractive linen.
Now that you've uncluttered the house, most of that clutter has probably gone into the garage or basement. But it's just as important to keep these areas from looking overcrowded. As we said earlier, it's a good idea to hold a garage sale before your house goes on the market. An easy solution to the garage is to hang things, either on pegboard or, if it's possible, in the rafters overhead. If you have a fireplace and store firewood in your garage, move it outside and away from the house. This is a great breeding ground for termites, and even though you may not have a problem, it could raise some doubts. Now that you can see what the garage floor looks like, you'll need to sweep it, and be sure to clean up any oil stains. It has to be evident that there's plenty of room for cars, bicycles, tools, and more.
If your basement has a rec room, that area should be treated like any other room, uncluttered, clean, and neutralized. If your basement is unfinished, your staircase leading down should be clean and clear, and once again, put in bright lights. Basements are an important asset to most homes, so show yours off. You don't want the buyer to think that you're hiding anything. If it's a clean, dry basement with lots of usable room, paint the walls white and highlight the amount of space. Whether your circuit box is in the basement or the garage or the attic, make sure it's accessible. If you have a water problem, try to get it fixed. Whatever you do, don't hide it. But if you just have a dampness problem, you may want to rent or buy a dehumidifier. If there are any mildewy items stored in the basement, like old rugs, toss them out. The only way to get rid of the odor is to remove the source. If you don't have a finished ceiling in the basement, be sure that the floor joists are dusted and free of cobwebs. No matter where your laundry area is, like the rest of the house, things must be neat and clean. We know somebody lives here, but it can't be evident. If it's not possible to have all the laundry done, buy an attractive hamper with a lid, or put the dirty clothes in a basket with a towel over it. And be sure to vacuum up all the lint and empty the trash. Attics can mean a lot to a potential buyer. If it's a full attic, it may read as possible expansion space or just that much more good secure storage. Now either way, if you have one, make it look its best. Go through your checklist, clean it, organize it, and make sure it has adequate lighting. If it has windows, don't forget to clean them. And if appropriate, show off its potential to be turned into that bedroom under the eaves. Well, that takes care of our house tour. And now we'll look at ways you can fix some of the problems we've highlighted. Now, many of these are easy to do with the help of books and special interest publications. Oh, and one other tip, consider home protection plan coverage if it's available in your state. It's a good way to give your buyers peace of mind on such features as your furnace, air conditioning, garbage disposal, plumbing, and electrical, and other systems in your home. If any of them break down, the buyer's covered the entire first year, and you're protected too while your home is being listed. Talk to your real estate agent about the details and availability of home protection plan coverage. Most of the peskiest problems seem to appear in the walls or floors of rooms you use the most. Things like squeaks in the stairs, cracks or holes in your walls, and crumbly grout in your bathroom. Here's our section of the video on how you can eliminate these common defects.
A squeaky floor is usually caused by one of three things. The finished flooring, usually oak, is pulled away from the subflooring, the subflooring is pulled away from the joists, or the joists have sagged and actually move a little when someone walks above them. Of course, if you have carpeting, the problem is limited to either the subflooring or the joists. If the joists underneath are exposed, as is the case for the main level when the basement ceiling isn't finished off, you'll have a much easier job fixing the defects than if you can't get at the affected area. First, you'll want to go to the basement and watch the underside of the floor while someone steps on the squeaky area from above. If you notice that the subfloor is loose, there are two cures. For a localized squeak, dip a tapered shim in carpenter's glue and drive it between the joist and the subflooring. For larger areas, force lengths of 2x4s up against the subflooring, like this, and nail them tightly to the joist. For loose finished flooring, drive 1 or 1.25 roundhead screws up through the subflooring into the finished floor. Remember to drill pilot holes through the subflooring and use washers. If the joists are twisting back and forth, even a little, you'll need to renail the bridging, like this. And if this doesn't do the trick, add a solid piece of bridging every 6 feet, toe nailing it to the subfloor first, then end nailing through the joists. Your options are much more limited if you can't get to the underside of your flooring. About your only recourse is to drill some pilot holes down through just the finished wood flooring. Ideally, your squeak is located at a point where you can reach down into the joist also, but don't count on it. Then set the nails and fill the holes. Squeaky stairs are usually caused by loose treads that rub against the top or bottom of the riser or against the long pieces of lumber called stringers that run along each side of the stairway. As with the floor, you're way ahead of the game if you can get to the underside of the stairs. Try 1, 2, or all 3 of these repair techniques. Glue and screw small wood blocks into the top junction between the tread and the riser, like this, being sure to run the screws in both directions. Or screw about 3 metal angles into this same junction. Or if the stairs have wooden wedges, and they're loose, remove them, add some new glue, and gently tap them back into place using a driving block. In those cases where you can't reach the stairs from below, here are the 3 ways to go, assuming the stairs aren't covered with carpeting or other surfaces. Number 1, try coating wedges with glue and tapping them into place like this. When the glue is dry, cut off the protruding ends. Number 2, glue and nail a piece of molding into both the riser and tread, like this. Number 3, and you can use this even if your stairs are carpeted, drill pilot holes and drive a few ring-shanked nails at opposing angles, like this, down through the front end of the tread into the riser. Whether you're dealing with a hairline crack or something quite a bit wider, the key is to undercut it. In other words, make the inner part actually wider than the outer edge, so you can get the repair material to hold well. Use a utility knife or other tool to scrape open the crack, like this, then brush out all the dust. Spray on some water to dampen the area, then use a putty knife to fill the crack with spackling compound. Allow the spackling to dry, following the instructions on the container. If the spackling has shrunk, you'll need to dampen the area again and add a second coat. After it dries, sand it smooth using fine sandpaper and a sanding block. And it's ready to prime. Those holes in drywall caused by doorknobs or a variety of other objects aren't as difficult to fill as they might seem. Start by first getting a scrap piece of drywall the same thickness as the wall you're repairing and cutting a square or rectangle larger than the damaged area. Hold this piece of drywall over the hole, draw the outline of the piece on the wall, then cut along the line with a drywall saw or a keyhole saw. Now the opening should be the same size and shape as the piece you're going to fill it with. But first you need a backing. So cut a scrap of 1x2 longer than the hole is wide, like this. Put a couple of dabs of panel adhesive, not too thick now, on the 1x2 and slip it inside the wall so it spans the opening. Use a second piece of wood and some twine to hold the 1x2 in place till the adhesive cures. When the 1x2 is solidly in place, add a couple more dabs of adhesive to the back of the drywall patch. Butter the edges of the patch with drywall joint compound and push it into place. When the adhesive seems to be holding, coat the patch and the area around it with joint compound, this time using a wider blade. Let the compound dry thoroughly, sand down the rough spots, and add a second coat of compound. When it's dry, sand the entire area with a sanding block, making sure you feather the edges carefully. Don't be too upset if you have to fill in a remaining void or two. It happens now and then. When you're happy with the results, prime the area, and you're ready to paint. When you attack an area of cracked and crumbling grout, the most important step is to get rid of every single chunk that's loose. So use a utility knife or other sharp tool to thoroughly scrape the grout lines. Then brush away all of the lingering chips and dust. Clean the entire area with a good tile cleaner so the new grout will adhere. Then mix the grout to the consistency of a thick paste and apply it with diagonal passes using a rubber float like this. Be sure to fill all the joints. After 10 or 15 minutes, compact the joints with the rounded end of a toothbrush. Thoroughly wash the grout off the tile surfaces with a wet sponge, but be very careful not to damage the grout joints themselves. Then finish up by polishing the tiles with a soft, dry cloth to remove any remaining residue.
We hope this video will help you get the most out of your home. For more information on merchandising your home, talk to your local Better Homes and Gardens real estate agent or call the Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Service toll-free at 1-800-274-7654. And if you want more how-to tips for preparing your existing home or making your new home even more desirable, try these other Better Homes and Gardens videos. Wallpaper like a pro, foolproof flower beds, making your kitchen store more, building a deck, and refinishing furniture. If you can't find them in your local video or department store, use the enclosed order form or call us at 1-800-678-2665.